Welcome back to the C-Suite, where we are helping women to create choices in their careers. In this segment, we are talking with empowerment coach and burlesque dancer, Olive von Topp. And if you have been dealing with having low self-worth or really want to start playing big in your career, this is the segment for you. So welcome, Olive, to the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm excited to be talking to you about this idea around self-worth and how women can start cultivating, worth and stop being so hard on themselves and their careers and beyond. So let's start off with, what is self-worth?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it sounds pretty self-explanatory. It's, thinking that you are essentially enough. I think it's making decisions in your life based on that. So, demanding or asking for what you deserve, believing that you deserve it, making decisions and interacting from a place of love and compassion.
And when someone has low self-worth, through the work that you've done, how do you see it almost manifesting in someone's career or in their life?
Yeah, sure. I think, so often our brains are always trying to prove themselves right. And so we sort of get into these self-fulfilling prophecies. So when we don't have self-worth, we put ourselves in situations that sort of prove that right. I mean, or at least we interpret it as being proved right. So you might even see like self-sabotaging behavior because you're like, I'm not enough. So then I'm going to take things that, take jobs, for example, that are sort of quote unquote below me or like below my pay grade, etc. And we continue to live out that prophecy of just being like, well, I'm not enough, and see, this proves it. Here I am in this crappy job that I don't love, and because I couldn't become anything more or amount to anything more. And as well as in our interactions with people, I mean, particularly with women, we don't ask for the pay that we deserve. We don't ask for promotions. We don't put ourselves in situations as often because we don't believe that we deserve it.
And through your work and your experience, why do you feel women don't feel that they're worthy of those promotions, those positions, or that salary, and really are holding themselves back?
I think we're socialized to believe that. I mean, we haven't been in the workforce in the grand scheme for a long time, and it's not designed for women, so to speak, particularly women who want to be mothers. We can see that play out in all kinds of ways. And so I think there's a lot of benefit to a society that, keeps us playing small or keeps us not feeling like we're enough and not asking for those things. And there's a lot of, I would say, perfectionism plays a huge part. We're socialized to, everyone is, but particularly women socialized to believe there's like an ideal perfect standard of what we're supposed to be. And we are told all the time, like, what that looks like. And it's entirely impossible, but we chase it all the time. And that obviously plays out in our work too. And then you have that combined with things like the perfection of trying to be like the perfect mom and trying to be healthy and eat well and, have good relationships and a great sex life and, great friends and hobbies and a great career. And it's like, it's a lot, right?
And so you're talking about this mindset work. Can you please share like a little bit about really what mindset work is for someone who may have never done it or have heard of that term?
Yeah, sure. So, I operate sort of from the thinking or the model that, all your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings are what drive your actions in your life, and your actions is like what creates your life. So if you are coming from a place of low self-worth and you're having really like negative thoughts about yourself, it's going to create different feelings like shame or sadness, which is going to drive very different actions. You're going to do different things when you're in shame or you're depressed or you're trying to seek external validation than if you are having thoughts that are like, I'm capable of this, or like, I have unique skills that people want. It's going to create entirely different emotions, which will create different actions, which will create a different outcome. So a lot of the mindset work is really getting clear on what your thoughts are related to things like self-worth, and how that plays out in your life. And then, getting critical and curious about them and implementing new thoughts that you can actually believe, not just like overly positive thoughts, but like perhaps neutral or even just like less self-critical thoughts that create emotions and actions that you want to sort of create the outcome you want. Does that make sense?
It does. And I like the fact that you said sometimes even those thoughts, they're not the big, whoa, like there's a big leap between where you are now and where you want to be, but it's almost smaller, almost incremental, so that you believe not just consciously, but subconsciously that this is actually true and attainable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So really, if women are just starting to work on this mindset work and cultivating their self-worth, where is a place that they could start, and what could they do to actually start?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say getting really curious about your thoughts, because we're so socialized to believe these things. It's so ingrained in us. It just drives the bus a lot, and we're not even paying attention. So I would say one of the first things would just be, starting to notice, like maybe even journaling, or just like downloading or writing everything out around your, say you're applying for a promotion or a job. Like, what are all the thoughts that you have? Just don't think about, filtering them, write them out, and getting clear on, oh, these are some of the things that are driving this. Practicing some like self-compassion, like, okay, that's because of the way I've been socialized. These aren't even my thoughts. And recognizing that you also have a choice. Like, we often believe like, oh, I'm a perfectionist, or, oh, I just, I am just different than other people. I'm not as good as other people. But the reality is, like, we aren't born like that. Like, we aren't born in shame, or we aren't born thinking we're not enough. This is learned. And so it can be unlearned. And you have the choice of whether you want to believe those thoughts or not. I mean, I know that's easier said than done, but that's, I think, the best place to start, is recognizing like what's going on, and knowing that you have some choice in it. And then if you're ready to try implementing just like something slightly less negative, like maybe everyone deserves like jobs that are fulfilling and lovely, sorry. Or, maybe it's possible that I have skills that people want. Maybe it's just possible. Maybe we'll start there.
I like how you said it's all about the choice. Like, each woman has the choice, and it's really within their power when so many things seem out of their control and they don't have the ability to choose, that this is something that they actually have the power to choose.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's exciting.
It's really exciting. And really, it's all about kind of almost like disrupting like the way that we're thinking, which controls our acting. And I know you're big on disrupting lots of different things. So we're going to shift into that, and really about when it comes to disrupting, like whether it be those thoughts and those mindsets that we have that are holding us back and playing small in our career, really, how can women start asking for what it is that they want, and just making those disruptions that they need to make in their life, career, and beyond?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do think it starts from the same place, around like starting to have those thoughts that will make you feel a different way, that will make it easier to be, quote unquote, disruptive, or ask for the things you want, and believing, starting to believe that you deserve it. So, I mean, practicing those thoughts day in and day out, like not just when you're feeling low, but like every morning, every night when you brush your teeth. And for me, I find it helpful. I know this isn't for everyone, but like thinking about it from a sort of institutional standpoint, or like system based, it's easier, because it's like, to me, it's disrupting a patriarchy, or it's disrupting capitalism, which is easier to do, it feels, than just being like, oh, I should do this for myself. For some people, it might be easier to be like, oh, if I make a conscious choice to get critical about the thoughts that have been ingrained in me, that have told me that I'm not enough, and I starting to think that I am, or that, I don't need all of these things to be complete, or I don't need to be perfect, then like that is an act of rebellion, when we've grown up in a society that has told us to be like small, and that you are not enough. And so for me, I find that really accessible, to be like, yeah, being rebellious. If you can't do it for yourself, do it to take down the system.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's also more thinking that there's a bigger purpose. So it's not just you changing you for you, but there's a bigger purpose behind you making some shifts.
Absolutely. And if you have children, I think that's a huge motivator too, to like see whether you have, whatever gender your kids are, like, just so that they can see you doing what you want, claiming yourself as somebody who's deserving of those things, who's willing to take up space, who's willing and wants to choose their own happiness.
Well, thank you so much, Olive, for being here today, talking about how women can really cultivate their self-worth and really stop being so hard on themselves, and how to go after what it is they want. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.